There are certain things I learnt when I was a beginner photographer that I still use years later. Today I'm going to share 4 of them with you. Let me show you what I mean. Now, I should probably make you aware that I've already actually attempted to film this video out in the field. It all went perfectly to plan until I got home and found out my card had been corrupted. So today's going to be a real quickfire video, giving you the value straight away. Let's get on with the first tip. Number 1, a good view does not equal a good picture. This is a common mistake I see beginners make all the time, because naturally when you're scouting out locations, you think you need to find somewhere that has got epic views because you think you'll get epic pictures. And while it's true that those locations can be good for photography, generally it's not the view that's good. Think for a moment about the pictures that you really like. Are they just a picture of the distance, the horizon? Often not. You need something to take a photo of. Generally, if you can find a subject within that view to get a picture of, that's what makes a good picture, not the view itself. When you're researching what location you can go, by all means go somewhere with a good view, but don't go there to take a picture of that view. Go there with the intention of finding something to put either in front of that view or as part of that view to make it your subject. So if you're struggling to find something to actually take a picture of, what is it that you should be looking for? Number 2, take the obvious shot. Often it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you have to include lots of things to make a good photo. Perhaps you want to include wildflowers or a beautiful sunset or people or a certain building. And those things are great things to take photos of in themselves. But if you try and cram too many things into one photo, it generally won't be a good photo. Simpler is better. So if you can take the really obvious shot, generally that will be the best one. It's interesting that the most experienced photographers generally take the most obvious shots, and that's because they know what they're looking for. With time and practice, over and over again, you can find what it is that is the simplest, most pared down photo, and the obvious shot is generally the best one. And there is a sort of a word of caution to go along with this tip. Tip number 3, check the edges of your frame. Now, something that will quite quickly make your photo stand out as a beginner's photo or looking quite amateurish is when you've neglected to see what is around the edges or the background of your frame. Generally, you could be so focused on your subject, even if you're taking the obvious shot, you can easily be distracted from what it is that's around the frame. And it is those distracting elements that we completely want to get rid of. This is something personally I have to really think consciously about, because I become so fixated on what I'm trying to take a picture of that I forget that there's other things surrounding it. So if you can make sure that the edges of your frame are tidy without distraction, then generally that will help to make your subject stand out more, and it will make it a more obvious shot rather than just a shot in a view. Can you see how all these link together? Well, there's one more. Tip number 4, try to impress yourself, not other people. Now, I'm not one of these photographers that thinks there's, that you shouldn't be taking photos for other people for posting on social media and other stuff. Of course, there's many people who do photography so they can share their art with others. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are also people who just do photography for themselves. Nothing wrong with that either. Personally, I think there's a balance to be had between the two. When you take a photo that you're proud of and that gives you a real sense of accomplishment, then take pride in that. Be pleased with the accomplishment that you've made. Be happy that you've got the photo you went out to get. And then be happy if other people like it too. But don't let one affect the other. If you feel you've got a really good photo, but people generally don't like it, that doesn't mean it's not a good photo. It just means that it was a good photo for you. You impressed yourself. Whereas if you take a photo because it'll be good for other people to see and you don't really think much of it yourself, nothing wrong with that either. Take pride in the fact that you've given something to people. You've made art for them to view and that they can enjoy. If you can get the balance of that right, then you'll never sort of hit a wall in your photography that lots of photographers come up against, where they feel like they're fighting a wall of what they want to accomplish. Get the balance right of making stuff for yourself, stuff for others, combine the two, and generally you'll be able to have a very, very long career as a photographer. Now I'm going to throw in a little bonus tip here, because this is something I've neglected in the past and done too much of in the past, and that's consuming other photographers' work. Now, this is something I've been neglecting recently because I've sort of felt that a lot of stuff is the same, and because of that, I've not felt much inspiration in my photography. So what I've done is I've gone to sort out other photographers who can inspire me or who I find interesting, somebody who does work a bit differently to me. These sorts of things can really help you to put a new edge on your own photography, if you get my meaning. You know, if you're stuck in the same old rut, your work will quickly become boring to you and to other people as well, which is the last thing you want. And something I've started trying to do with my own social media is photo analysis. Now, what I mean by this is I take my photos and I sort of break them down and show the viewer, how I actually got the photo, what my thinking was with the composition, the colours, the shapes, everything, so that my thought process can come across a bit better. Because it's very easy just to post stuff on social media to get the likes, but to actually help you, the viewer, know why I took the photo, that can make a big difference in helping you to see how it could perhaps influence your photography. So if that sounds like the sort of thing you want to see, then feel free to follow me on social media at the Joshua Pegg, and I'll be happy to share my thought process with you. Don't forget to sub and give the video a like on your way out, and I'll see you next time.
Labels blowing up my line and got me missing calls.